Masako Falk, Misao Nakagawa Moriyama, Donald Hamilton Estes, Katsumi Takashima, Jane Akemi Obayashi, Matsue Ishino, Sane Gutzman, Noburo Yamamoto, George Higuchi, Tameko Iwashita, Roy Morinaka, Yuki Yagade, Paul Yoshimasa Naito, Mikazu Kaminaka, Harumi Hokanson, Agnes Masai Kishi, Ichie Ochi, James Yamaguchi, Yoshio Koike, Mary Beth Owent, Momoyo Amano, Kazu L. Scott, Morizo Fujimoto, Shizue Koba, Hisashi Ozaki, Hiroko Kitada, Carol James, Carl M. Oka, Kuni Higuchi, Hisayo Fujimoto, Kakuya Yamada, Shujiye Saito, Hatsuko Miyamoto, Mitsuko Iguchi, Reverend Gikan Nishinaga, Tsume Takashima, Magataro Adachi, Shoichi Hamatake, Seiko Fujimoto, Tamiko Mamiya, Hiroshi Mayumi, Asao Tanaka, Yoshi Morimoto, Moritaka Tsuneyoshi, Osamu Amano, Richard Ejima Jr., Yoshimatsu Yagura, Kisemon Kato, Fujie Oya, Gohei Tomoyama, Yasukichi Fujimoto, Jirosuke Nishiyume, Yue, Kumataro Kimura, Tsuneko Masumoto, Nasu Emon Ishizuka, Mary Koba. Again, you are welcome to come forward and offer incense today for a loved one who passed away in the month of May, whether I have read their name or not.
We will now have the sutra chanting of Jusei on page 35 of the Purple Service book.
Gagon Chosegan He し無浄土志願不満足性不上昇学がお無良好不意大摂取不最小便具性不上昇学が至上分道妙所長寺法空虚未所門性不上昇学利欲人少年上映主本業死具無浄土一生天人死人力現代公不傷無才道少女三苦妙交際主役難回避地永遠名詞根も安閉塞小悪道通断全宗門高僧上満足いよろ実法日願主樹期天候音普賢一種解放像公正功徳法上大集中説法四式供養一切仏具足主徳本願永心上満得意三害をつむげちつだに不詳願学へり投資最小尊志願や国家大戦を感動国書天人と珍妙形ナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブナマンダブヤニシクドク平等性際道本菩提心往生安楽公ヤショナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダナマンダ
We will now have the recitation, Our Pledge, which you can find on the insert of the service book. Breaking out of my shell, I will share a warm smile and speak gentle words like the kind Buddha. Not becoming lost in my greed, anger, and ignorance, I shall think and act with an open mind, just like the calm and peaceful Buddha. Not putting myself first, I will share in the joy and sadness of others, just like the compassionate Buddha. Realizing the gift of life I have received, I shall strive to live each day to its fullest, like the Buddha who tirelessly works to liberate all. Namo Rabbitsu.
Namo Midabutsu.
Namo Rabbitsu.
Namo Midabutsu.
Namo Rabbitsu.
Namo Midabutsu. Namo.
Reverend Smitty will now give the Dharma School message.
So if everybody would please join me in Gasho, or with palms together. When the one thought moment of joy arises, nirvana is attained without severing blind passions. When ignorant and wise, even grave offenders and slanderers of the Dharma, all alike turn and enter Shinjin, they are like the waters that, upon entering the ocean, become one in taste with it. Namo Midabutsu, Namo Midabutsu, Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Well, good morning. I hope everybody's doing well today. I wanted to thank Dharma School students for the baby Buddha and lotus flower cookies that you decorated and shared on Hanamatsuri. Do you remember that far back 2 weeks ago? Okay. Reverend Endo and I both thought they looked really nice, and they certainly were very tasty. And the cookies were slightly sweet, but not overwhelmingly sugary. To me, that was just right. But you know, when I was younger, much younger, back when we used to ride dinosaurs to elementary school, I might have said that the cookies were not quite sweet enough. I think I used to like very sugary sweet things in those days. I could eat a whole cloud of cotton candy on my own, and I loved getting treats like lollipops, rock candy, and pixie sticks from the corner store. But in case you didn't know, those candies are basically pure sugar with a little coloring and flavoring added, both of which were likely to be completely artificial. I preferred Frosted Flakes to Corn Flakes because Frosted Flakes had a sugar coating and Corn Flakes didn't. That's what made Frosted Flakes so great. Yeah, you guys know. I also liked Cocoa Krispies, and I went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And I think we all started our days back then with a big bowl of sugar and milk. Salty food was good sometimes too, like potato chips and pretzels or popcorn. I guess my taste buds were tuned only to sweet or salty in those days. But I didn't really like combining sweet and salty when I was a kid, like kettle corn or peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Chocolate-dipped pretzels and chocolate-coated potato chips were also a big dislike back in those days. You know, we humans perceive our taste of things through thousands of tiny sensory organs called taste buds, which are located mostly on the upper surface of your tongue. And each taste bud contains 50 to 100 taste cells, which contain molecules known as receptors that can detect each type of taste: sweet, bitter, sour, salty, or umami, which is also sometimes known as savory. And back in my younger days, there was this common misconception that different areas of the tongue were responsible for the different tastes. At least that's what people told us, or my friends told me, so I believed them. But the truth is, taste buds that detect all 5 tastes are actually found throughout the tongue. There are, however, some areas of the tongue that are more sensitive to certain tastes than others. For example, the very tip of the tongue is more sensitive to sweet flavors, while the sides are more sensitive to things like sour and salty flavors. I wasn't a super picky eater, really, when I was a kid, but there were definitely some foods that I didn't enjoy the taste of. Well, I liked pickles, as in pickled cucumbers. I wasn't really fond of pickled beets or pickled eggs. I also wasn't fond of bitter foods like grapefruit or Brussels sprouts. And I wasn't that fond of bitter beverages either, like coffee or beer, because I suppose I shouldn't have been drinking beer when I was young either. Of course, as I grew older, I grew to appreciate a lot of different flavors. My taste buds are no longer tuned to just sweet and salty, and I enjoy foods that are sweet, bitter, sour, salty, savory, and combinations thereof. But there are still some foods that I like more than others. Of course, my various preferences, likes and dislikes, if you will, don't only apply to flavors and foods. I also have likes and dislikes for people, places, things, and experiences. There are people I like to spend time with, and people I think are annoying when I have to spend a lot of time with them. There are places I like to explore or visit, and places I would prefer to avoid. There are experiences that I find enjoyable, and experiences that I'd rather not have to experience. If I'm with friends at a place where we like to go and we're surrounded by what we think are enjoyable things and doing stuff that we think is fun or entertaining, life is good. If I'm with people who annoy me and I'm at a place I dislike and I'm surrounded by unpleasant things and doing stuff that makes me unhappy, well, life is no longer so good. Just like foods, life can seem sweet and bitter or sour to us. The thing is, these judgments are based on my limited, flawed, and unawakened mind. As ordinary beings, we have biases. We have these limited views. We have limited tastes. But when we're able to receive the Buddha's mind, which is vast like the ocean, that freely accepts the waters of all the rivers that flow into it, we realize great joy. We experience a peacefulness and happiness that's not based on our own illusions and delusions, our narrow understanding of things. We experience a peace and joy based on true wisdom and compassion. Since I'm still an unenlightened being, I cling to my biases. Or perhaps, because I cling to my biases, I'm still an unenlightened being. I haven't become one in taste with the vast ocean that's Amida Buddha. As an ordinary being, it seems impossible to become completely free of my likes and dislikes. And while there's plenty of foods that I've come to enjoy the taste of, there's still some foods that I just don't like. Fortunately, the great peace and joy that we receive through Amida Buddha's vow is not attained by ridding ourselves of our likes and dislikes. Amida's vow doesn't require us to sever our blind passions. And Amida's vow was made out of great compassion for foolish and ordinary beings like me. Beings who cling to our preferences, who are incapable of giving up our likes or embracing our dislikes. How fortunate are we that while we discriminate between our likes and dislikes, the Buddha doesn't discriminate. Amida welcomes us just as we are, regardless of whether we're being sweet or we're being salty or we're being a bit of both. Embraced and sustained by Amida Buddha's compassionate vow, the sweet, sour, and bitter experiences of this life become one in the taste of gratitude. So please join me again in Gassho. When the one thought moment of joy arises, nirvana is attained without severing blind passions. when ignorant and wise, even grave offenders and slanderers of the Dharma, all alike turn and enter Shinjin. They are like the waters that upon entering the ocean become one in taste with it. Namo Amida Butsu, Namandab, 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 Namandab.
Thank you, Reverend Smitty, for that Dharma message. Now please stand for the singing of Say Namo Amida Butsu, which you can find on page 133 of the Purple Service Book.
You may all be seated now. If anyone has any announcements, feel free to come on up and make them now.
The Junior YBA is hosting Mother's Day breakfast on Sunday, May 11th from 8:30 a.m. to 9:45 in the annex. Breakfast will be a delicious serving of miso soup, sausage and eggs, rice, fruit, and a beverage. Cost is just $10 each for breakfast, and moms eat free. We hope to see you there. Thank you.
This is to remind everybody that the temple will be having its annual Japanese Cultural Bazaar on Sunday, June 1st. We are in need of volunteers, so there is a sign-up sheet downstairs in the hallway. Thank you.
Good morning. I just wanted to thank everybody who came out to help the BWA with the afternoon tea yesterday. It was, I think, a great success. So thank you very much. We really appreciate it. And just to remind you that it was a fundraiser for the temple's 100th anniversary celebration, which will be next year in October. No, September, sorry. And then the other thing is we still have $3 bags of panko on sale, so I'll be down in the dining room after service to sell, and that is to go toward FBWA conference also in next year in October. Thanks.
Good morning, and exactly why I'm up here is to thank the BWA and all the junior YBA and the Sangha teens for hosting a really nice event yesterday with the tea. How many of you, raise your hand if you helped with the tea. You'll see how many there were. There were so many people. I know there's most of the people here were helped out in some way or another by supporting it. So anyway, on behalf of the 100-year anniversary committee, we really want to thank the BWA and all the people that helped. Looking forward to next year, 2026, coming fast. So, and we hope everybody will be joining in with us when we celebrate. Thank you.
I wanted to share that in 2 weeks, our temple is hosting a special presentation to address the opioid overdose crisis. So Judy Nakatomi from Vista Buddhist Temple and our Reverend Smitty will both be presenting and talking about addictions and suffering from the lens of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism. So there are 2 presentations. Next Sunday will be at Vista, but in 2 Sundays on May 18th at 12 is at our temple. And there will be Narcan training and free Narcan nasal spray distributed, and there will be a light lunch. So please consider joining. It'll be at 12 p.m. on Sunday, May 18.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lorene Ota. Last year, John McAlpine and I were the plant booth chairs, and we raised a surprising amount of money thanks to everybody's help. We canceled the plant booth for the bazaar this year because John and I were both physically disabled. But, Penelope and Benjamin's dad, Jason Schmidt, has volunteered to be the plant booth chair. We're going to keep it small, but I think what he can use is people to help man the booth. So people that love plants, raise your thumb. He would really appreciate help to man the booth and then to set up the plants and clean up. So thank you, Penelope and Benjamin's dad. But we don't need too many plants.
Wow, thank you for that plug. So as you may know, I am Penelope and Benjamin's dad, and as you may also know, my kids are part of a Filipino performing arts troupe. And I come up every so often and make announcements. This group, called Pasakat, performs all throughout the year. But they have 2 big concerts, one in December and one in the summer called the Junior Concert. And I highly recommend, and I invite all of you to come and watch this performance. I know you may be thinking that you've already witnessed the fleet-footed dancing of people skipping in and out of the tinikling poles during the bamboo stick dance, or maybe you've already watched the amusing antics of children reenacting traditional fishing techniques during a Pasigan dance. But this particular performance is going to be really exciting because we send out the creative directors of the Pasakat group all over the 7,000 islands of the Filipino archipelago, and they collect the songs, dances, and stories of remote unknown groups all over the Philippines. And so this year we'll be featuring songs, dances, and singing that has never ever before been seen in the Western world. So, and it may never be seen again after this performance. So this may be your one chance to hear these sounds and see these sights that you will never get a chance to see before or again. So this performance is on May 31st at the San Isidro Performing Arts Center. And you don't need to remember any of that. You can just come and talk to me or my wife or my children, and we will direct you where to find tickets. It's a great show. I think some of you have come and seen other shows, and you can ask. They're highly entertaining. So again, I recommend you come on out.
Dharma School may now do a shaka and is excused to class.
We will be chanting the Vandana Tisarana, which you can find in the Purple Service Book on page 96. Please start from the beginning.
Yes, please join me in all parts of the Vandana and Tisarana. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Kie Butsu. Namo Kie Ho. Namo Kie So. Gasho Namanda 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 Namanda.
Reverend Smitty will now give the Dharma message.
Please join me in Gassho, or with palms together. Buddham Saranam Gacchami, Dhammam Saranam Gacchami, Sangham Saranam Gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Amida Butsu, Namandab, Namandab, Namandab. You should be familiar with those words. We just chanted them. Well, good morning again. And in case you've been snoozing lately, the Buddhist Temple of San Diego is rapidly approaching our 100th anniversary. Okay, rapidly for some, especially Luann and all those on the planning committee. And while the celebration is a little more than a year away, there's a lot going on behind the scenes to prepare for it. And as we look forward to fall of 2026, we prepare for a celebration not of a building or a physical location, not of this physical address of 2929 Market Street, but a celebration of those people who established the temple in 1926. This will be a celebration of those people who continued to share in the Dharma as we gather and approaching 2026. And this will be a celebration of all those people who kept the temple alive, open, and operating in the 100 years in between. This is a celebration of our Sangha. You know, the Sanskrit word Sangha is often translated as association or assembly or company or community. And originally in Buddhism, it referred to the monastic community of ordained men or monks, and then later came to include ordained women or nuns. And the first Buddhist Sangha was comprised of Shakyamuni Buddha's 5 former ascetic colleagues and the friends that he practiced with prior to his enlightenment. So according to Buddhist tradition, after leaving the Bodhi tree under which he was meditating when he awakened to the truth, the Buddha returned to Sarnath, where his five former buddies were still continuing their very strict ascetic practices without him. And as the Buddha approached the deer park at Sarnath, where the 5 monks were, they noticed the man they knew as Siddhartha headed their way, and decided as a group that they weren't going to welcome him back. They felt that Siddhartha wasn't sincere in his practice because he had abandoned their strict spiritual training and escaped into a life of what these 5 men thought was somewhat self-indulgent. That is, if you can call eating a bowl of rice gruel each day as self-indulgent. I suppose it is, compared to someone who's only eating a spoonful maybe of rice, and you're eating a whole bowl full, but still. Anyways, they were not going to accept this quitter among them. But as the Buddha entered Deer Park, the 5 monks couldn't help but notice there was something different about him now. He radiated a peacefulness and assurance that made the ascetics forget their agreement to ignore and turn their backs on their former friend. In fact, they were drawn to the Buddha's radiance and requested that he teach them what he had learned. So the very first sermon or Dharma teaching which the Buddha gave to those 5 monks at the Deer Park in Sarnath was the revelations of the 4 Noble Truths and the Eightfold Noble Path. So we might say that this was the first instance of the 3 treasures existing, and that assembled there in that Deer Park was the Buddha, who's the teacher, the enlightened or awakened one, the Dharma, which are the teachings or the ultimate truth that he wanted to share, and the newly formed Sangha, who were the newly minted followers along this path of awakening. And from this humble beginning at Deer Park, which included only those 5 ascetic friends, the Sangha grew and included both commoners and kings as they wanted to hear what Buddha had to say. And people joined the community, this early Sangha, upon hearing the wisdom of the Buddha that sparked their wish to end their suffering. And in the modern Jodo Shinshu context, this term Sangha is simply the Buddhist spiritual community. Often in BCA temples, we use the term temple members when we're referring to our Sanghas. And this is somewhat inaccurate and exclusionary because temple member frequently implies a person who pays dues or money for membership to the temple. And even those who don't pay annual membership fees, yet still contribute in other ways to the temple and participate in sharing the Dharma, can be considered Sangha members. Shinran referred to his followers not as disciples, but as equal companions. The term ondobo, ondogyo means the fellow travelers in the Dharma. And I personally prefer inclusion instead of the exclusion, particularly when referring to travelers on the path of awakening, those of us who are on the Nembutsu path together. So when we recite the three treasures, we state that I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And to take refuge is to seek protection or shelter in the Sangha. To state I take refuge in the Sangha means that the Sangha is a source of help or relief or comfort in my times of trouble and difficulty. And when we recite the Tisarana, when we state that I go to the Sangha for guidance, in seeking guidance from the Sangha, I'm looking to co-equal travelers for help with my pain and my stress or my problems. And the Sangha is this community of fellow beings that are all walking this path together. The Sangha here at BTSD is a community made up of co-equal travelers, whether ordained minister, a BWA member, a certified minister's assistant, a taiko drummer, the temple president, a Dharma school teacher, a member of the board of directors, or just an ordinary person without any labels or titles or other group affiliation. I go to fellow travelers for guidance. We go to co-equal practicers in the Dharma for guidance. We don't say that we go to enlightened masters, deified teachers, or the grand poobah of the temple. We go to beings who are walking the path with us. We go to the community in which we practice. We go to the community in which we're learning. I go to the Sangha for guidance. We go to the Sangha for guidance. And in return, I receive the teachings and compassionate care from the Sangha. That's the guidance which I seek. And over time, the relationship between that I, this individual or this singular being, and the Sangha, a collection of beings, deepens and changes. That I and that we, which go to the Sangha for guidance, becomes part of the very Sangha that we're going to. We became part of the guidance, part of the teachings, part of the refuge, part of that compassionate care. We are the Sangha that we go to, and we are the Sangha that we take refuge in. We are the guidance that we're seeking. And although we recite that I go to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha for guidance in that particular order, it's the Sangha that guides us to the Buddha and the Dharma. My co-equal travelers on the path guide me to enlightenment and the truth. So here we are today, some 2,600 years after Shakyamuni Buddha passed away into parinirvana, and 99 years since the founding of the Buddhist Temple of San Diego. How important and relevant is the Sangha today? As a nation of individuals, we're often kind of boastful about being able to stand on our own 2 feet and do things on our own. Today, more than ever, we can assert reliance on ourselves. And to some degree, this really may seem true. After all, many sutras have been translated into English, so the study of the scriptures is possible and available to almost any of us. And there's innumerable books that have been written by wonderful teachers about just about any branch or tradition of Buddhism and on every aspect or subject of the Buddhist teachings. In fact, the collected works of Shinran, the writings of the Jodo Shinshu founder, is available in English as 2 hardcover books. But you can also find it on the website shinranworks.com. The internet has a myriad of sites dedicated to Buddhism, from wiki pages to scholarly writing, from personal blogs to the web pages of temples and monasteries around the world. So what does the Sangha do that all these technological advancements over the past 2.5 millennia can't provide to the individual seeker of the Dharma? The Sangha provides that refuge. The Sangha provides support. Each member of the Sangha supports each other. Today's Sangha welcomes each of us exactly as we are with what we bring. All our baggage, our karma, whether it's good or bad, our wisdom and our delusions. And as members of the Sangha, we embrace others as our co-equal travelers, and we also need to embrace their neuroses and their karma, good or bad, and their wisdom and their delusions, because we need to be there for each other. We need the Sangha to keep us on this path, just as the Sangha needs each of us in order for us to stay on the path. What we may find to be difficult alone might be easier with the strength of numbers behind us, with those travelers all around us. So by taking refuge in the Sangha, we become part of the larger community of Buddhists. By going to the Sangha for guidance, we too become guidance for others. And that's something that we can't gain by sitting alone on a cushion, surrounded by books on Buddhism, or by surfing Buddhist websites all day while we're sipping a latte at Starbucks. The Sangha is an equal part of the three treasures for an important reason, because without the Sangha, those two other treasures really lose their meaning. The Sangha also provides something intangible but very powerful, and the Sangha is that glue that keeps everything together. The BTSD Sangha keeps everything together and continues to provide refuge and guidance after 99 years. In the months ahead, let's all do our part to help celebrate the Jodo Shinshu Sangha of San Diego. In the days and months and years ahead, may we continue to turn to each other for guidance, and may we find refuge in each other. May we all be embraced and sustained by that wisdom and compassion that is Amida Buddha. I know that's sort of an advertisement, a 15-minute or so advertisement for the 100th anniversary, but realize that the anniversary is not just celebrating the fact that this temple exists. It celebrates the fact that so many came before us and will come after us to be part of the Sangha here. So please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandab, Namandab, Namandab.
Thank you, Reverend Smitty, for your Dharma message. Please stand for the singing of Onduk-san, which you can find on page 128 of the Purple Service Book. Thank you. You may be seated. We will now have closing meditation. A family is a place where a mind lives with other minds. If these minds love each other, the home will be as beautiful as a flower garden. From the teaching of Buddha. Thank you, Reverend Smitty, for officiating today's Shotsuki Hoyo service, and our minister assistant, Yukari Williams, for ringing the concho bell, and other ministers' assistants for making sure our incense keeps going, Miss Trisha Carinio for playing the piano, and our tech team, Brevin, Ken, and Bill for streaming today's live service, live streaming today's service. And lastly, I'd like to thank everybody for attending today's service, both in the Hondo and online. You may now come to offer incense. Thank you.
We do have Professor Forney and some of his students from Palomar College visiting today. I encourage you all to stay here in the Hondo, our main hall, and we can have a few minutes if you have any questions that you'd like to ask. Thank you.